Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. We're so excited to, dive into a book today that's not just relevant to what's happening in the world right now, but also incredibly inspiring. Climate Sisters, Resisting Ecocide.
Yeah, this one really resonated with me. It's not just another book about the facts of climate change, like the science behind it all. It really brings a human element to the issue by telling the stories of these incredible women around the world who are leading the charge.
Seriously, it's one thing to talk about like, oh, the planet's heating up, but it's another to hear about a student in Singapore taking on plastic waste because it directly threatens her home, her island nation.
Yeah.
That's when it really hits home,
Yeah.
you know.
Totally. It becomes real. And I think one of the things that struck me is just how many of these climate leaders are, in fact, women. Obviously, women have always been on the front lines of social change, but there's something particularly powerful, I think, about their presence in the climate movement.
Absolutely. So why do you think that is?
Well, the book delves into this, and one key factor is that in many parts of the world, women bear a disproportionate burden when it comes to the effects of climate change.
Right, like they're the ones who are often responsible for finding food and water, especially in communities most impacted by things like droughts or pollution.
Exactly. They see the impacts firsthand every single day. And that experience, that lived reality, fuels this incredible drive to make a change, to protect their families, their communities.
And it's a global movement. This book takes us everywhere, from the rainforests of Brazil to the streets of Lebanon. It showcases all these unique stories, but all these stories are united by this common thread of fighting for our planet.
And what I appreciated is that the book didn't just focus on, like the big names that we often hear about. It highlighted these diverse voices from all over the world because climate change, by its very nature, is a global issue.
Absolutely. If a community in the Himalayas is struggling because of melting glaciers, that's not just their problem, right? It's a signal to all of us that we're interconnected. What happens in one corner of the world affects us all.
Precisely. And speaking of, taking action, one of the things I really loved about Climate Sisters is that it doesn't offer like a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, it's like, here's a whole toolbox of different approaches, different forms of activism.
So are you ready to meet some of these incredible women and hear their stories?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so we promised inspiring stories, and this book does not disappoint. Let's talk about Qiyun Woo from Singapore.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Imagine being a student and just noticing all these plastic bottles piling up on campus and having this light bulb moment.
That's those everyday observations, they can spark these incredible movements. And for her to be in Singapore, an island nation, talk about being on the front lines of rising sea levels.
Right, like it really drives home the urgency of it all. But she didn't just, start a recycling program. She's an artist, and she uses her art to connect with people, especially young people, about climate change.
Oh, that's so powerful. Art has this way of cutting through the noise. It can really get to our emotions in a way that like just reading facts and figures sometimes can't.
Totally. It's like she found her own unique way to make a difference. And it reminds me of another story, actually. Joelle's Zgheib in Lebanon.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine being a student there with so much going on in the country and feeling like climate change is just being ignored? Like it's just not a priority because there are all these other immediate crises.
Absolutely. And it's a perfect example, right, of how climate change isn't this isolated issue.
Right.
It intersects with social justice, with politics, with everything. It takes a lot of courage to say, no, this matters too. We have to address it now.
And she really put that courage into action.
Oh, yeah.
She co-founded Extinction Rebellion Lebanon
Wow.
and quickly realized that they couldn't just copy and paste tactics used in other parts of the world. Imagine trying to block roads in Lebanon, a place with, its own complex political landscape. It could have backfired easily. They had to find their own way.
And that's something we see throughout the book, right? This need for context-specific solutions.
Yes. And, it made me think about how some of these activists are fighting on multiple fronts at once. Like, let's talk about Célia Xakriabá, an indigenous leader in Brazil.
Oh, incredible woman.
She's not just fighting to protect the Amazon rainforest, right? She's fighting for the rights of her people, their culture, their whole way of life, all of which are threatened by climate change.
It's all interconnected, and Celia's story is so powerful because she really brings that to light. She's on the front lines of defending the Amazon, and she'll be the first to tell you that protecting indigenous rights is essential to protecting the planet as a whole.
It's easy to feel, I don't know, maybe a little inadequate reading these stories,
Yeah.
Like, wow, these women are amazing, but what can I one person really do?
I get it. It's that whole drop in the ocean feeling. But that's what I think is so great about Climate Sisters. It really emphasizes that we all have a role to play.
Exactly. It's not about everyone becoming a full-time activist. It's about finding your own way to contribute.
Right. Yeah. Like we talked about art, we talked about activism, but there are so many other ways to make a difference.
Totally. And the book features women like Qiyun Woo from Taiwan.
Yeah.
She's got this background in carbon management.
I was so fascinated by her story.
But, like, she's not just stuck in a lab somewhere, you know?
No, she's out there making it real.
Right. She's part of the Taiwan Youth Climate Coalition, taking that scientific knowledge and turning it into actual policy recommendations.
It's like she's bridging that gap between the science and the people who can actually make those big picture changes.
It's amazing. And then you have someone like Kate Yeo, also from Singapore, who co-founded the Re-Earth Initiative.
Oh, yeah, she's incredible. It just goes to show how interconnected this generation is, you know?
It's like they're not waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They're like, we've got this. Let's connect and make it happen. And they are.
Right. And they're using technology, social media to build this global movement from the ground up.
It's really inspiring to see. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Climate Sisters, I have to say, I'm left feeling hopeful. It would be easy to just get bogged down by all the doom and gloom surrounding climate change.
Right.
But these stories really are a powerful reminder that people are out there fighting back, and they're making a difference every single day.
And it's not about waiting for some perfect solution or some, magical technology to save us. It's about the actions we take, big or small, every single day.
Absolutely. Whether you're passionate about reducing your own carbon footprint or supporting businesses that are trying to do better or just, talking about these issues with your friends and family, it all adds up. So to wrap things up, I think it's safe to say that Climate Sisters is more than just a book. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we all have a part to play in creating a more sustainable and just future. So go check it out. Let these incredible women inspire you. Find your own way to make a difference. And join us next time for another deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.